Here?
Should I? That's amazing. Pressing my front brake instead of my rear brake, so the front came up.
いいよ。
You gonna eat some more granolas? Is there a garbage can?
Nice.
Drinks.
ありがとうございます。
この中によ。
Be careful. If you fall, how are we gonna get you?
工事中だって。
今すぐここにいるって言ったのに。どこにいるの？これは。これは。
エスニックスープ、スクランブルエッグ、チーズオーブン焼きの中から好きなもの一つお選びください。下が写真になってます。
Maybe they've already done it. Toast.
You need it.
This is not enough. That wouldn't have been enough. I doubt the vegetable soup would have been enough.
What?
My kid. Frenchie, we gotta get off. Get off.
Do you ever feel you don't get out what you're putting in? All your hopes and efforts are all in vain. Who will pick you up when you've lost everything? Does it all become for granted with a wedding ring? Oh, there must be more. There must be another way. There must be conscious, different things in different ways. There must be love. There must be a reason, and a little bit of faith has got to come my way. I was just a little girl when my mama used to say, "Ooh, happiness requires work every day." Oh, and if that someone makes you smile, it leaves you with a scar. Don't let them tell you what you feel or who you are. Oh, there must be more. There must be another way. There must be conscious, different things in different ways. There must be love. There must be a reason, and a little bit of faith has got to come my way.
Hey.
I'm sorry, baby. Go slower next time.
I gave it all to you for too long.
That's how you sang that. 愛さん誰スポンジャガイモさん
じゃがいもさん
There must be
I hope you have my voice when they're talking about bullshit and well,
different things in different ways. There must be more.
繰り返しご案内いたします。
die. Sachi, why are your pants wet? What a pretty princess. Back in when we get back, because I completely just left it on my shoulder when I walked out here.
Towel?
Yeah.
Onsen?
For the hotel behind it.
Red.
Am I reading that right? Like why?
Mama, 風船だよ、風船。
In the room? I didn't leave my keys behind. Feels like I'm wearing nothing at all.
瀬戸田エコレモン。はい。
having fun?
Yeah.
You finished?
Daddy!
Want to throw up, or do you want to watch TV? Yeah, it is. Please. Gotcha.
ちゃちちゃん見てほら、イルカさん。そこそこ見てほらほら。そこ。
look out across the water, I smell the salt and feel the breeze. But in my heart I hear the calling of my old home, Tennessee. We don't know where these rivers flow, or why the wind chooses when and where to blow. The sun is gonna rise each and every time, but I've still got Tennessee on my mind.
You don't have your shoes on. Oh.
Not far. Sorry.
Let's see if we can find some food. Fresh. You want to take a picture of our lunch spot? Sachi, it's very hot. Please don't. Nope.
Popular.
I guess. I mean, there are. turn off the water?
あかんよ。あかんよ。触った。触った。
Not much to the shrine, but yeah.
やだ。
No words other than that. Yeah.
鍋焼きうどんの、はい鍋焼きうどんが2つ。で、別々ですね。普通のやつが2つと、卵ついてるやつが1つ。卵入れ1つ。はい。大盛りができますけど。
Daddy's gonna take a picture, and then we can put some noodles in your bowl. Do you want Niku too?
いや。お肉だ。これに入れるね。
Please don't put it in. Yeah, but who delivers it?
Here. 暑い？
You need water?
お降りの際に両替とされますと出口付近が混雑いたしますので。
Nothing looked good.
So it's airport food.